Number 5. If you were around in 1978, there's no way you didn't hear about the Lufthansa heist. Planned by Jimmy Burke, who became the inspiration for Martin Scorsese's film Goodfellas, the heist came about when a poor airport employee contracted a $20,000 gambling debt and decided to make a bookie happy by telling him about millions of dollars in untraceable money that was flown into Kennedy Airport once a month and stored in a cardboard vault. On December 11th at 3:12 in the morning, a black Ford Econoline was spotted pulling into a loading bay at Kennedy. Quickly, Burke and his accomplices disarmed security guards, coaxed others to disarm silent alarms, threatened to find and kill family members of others if they didn't cooperate. Next, they forced the terminal's senior cargo agent to call the only guard that knew the combinations to open up the double-door vault that night. The heist was so well orchestrated that the masterminds behind it knew all the safety secrets and how the double-door system worked. When the men left at 4:16 in the morning, they were home free. 14 minutes later, a call was made to report that $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewels had been stolen. The employees kept quiet because they knew if the police caught the robbers, they and their families would never be safe. The robbery took only 64 minutes to complete and was the largest cash robbery ever committed on U.S. territory at that time. Number 4. The Dunbar armored robbery outranks the Lufthansa heist, becoming the largest cash robbery in the United States. It happened in 1997 at the Dunbar Armored Facility in Los Angeles, California. The robbers put their paws on some $18.9 million. The heist was orchestrated by a Dunbar Regional Safety Inspector, Alan Pace. Yep, it was an inside job. Pace had a lot of free time on his hands while he was working. He photographed and examined the company's LA Armored Car Depot, estimated the security camera delays, the works. Then he recruited 5 childhood friends, and on the night of Friday, September 13th, 1997, he used his keys to enter the facility. Once inside, the guys waited in the staff cafeteria and ambushed the guards one by one. On Friday nights, Pace knew the vault would be open because of the large sums of money being moved. In 30 minutes, they had loaded millions of dollars into a waiting U-Haul. Pace knew exactly which bags contained the non-sequential bills and the highest denomination currency. He also knew where the recording devices for the security cameras were located and didn't forget to pick those up on the way out. The whole thing was perfect. The associates even found ways to launder the money smartly, until one of them handed a guy a stack of bills still wrapped with the original cash straps. That guy went to the police. The associate was arrested, and the plan was traced back to Pace, who was also arrested and sentenced to 24 years in jail. Mysteriously, though, something like $10 million is still unaccounted for. Number 3. On November 26, 1983, 6 robbers broke into the Brinks Mat warehouse at Heathrow Airport in London. The thieves had planned to steal £3 million in cash, but they found 10 tons of gold bullion worth £26 million. Again, the bandits got in thanks to a security guard who was the brother-in-law of the guy who thought up the raid. Unfortunately for the gang, Scotland Yard quickly discovered the family connection, and the security guard squealed and confessed in exchange for a lighter sentence. He got 6 years and served 3, whereas the others were each sentenced to 25 years for armed robbery. But these guys could have gotten away with it. Before getting arrested, they had entrusted part of the gold to a legitimate dealer who had melted down the bullion and recast it for sale. But when large amounts of money started moving through a Bristol bank, the Treasury was notified and informed the police. The gold dealer was placed under surveillance, and in January of 1985, he killed an officer he discovered in his garden. At the trial for murder, the jury found him not guilty on the grounds of self-defense, but in 1986, he was found guilty of conspiracy to handle the Brinks Mat gold, fined £700,000, and sentenced to 14 years in prison. 3 tons of stolen gold have yet to be recovered. Some authorities think that anyone wearing gold jewelry bought in the UK after 1983 is probably wearing Brinks Mat. Number 2. The Northern Bank in Belfast was robbed of £26.5 million sterling on December 20th, 2004, making it one of the biggest bank robberies in British history. The police, the British and Irish governments claimed the provincial IRA was responsible for the heist or had encouraged it, an accusation that both the provincial IRA itself and the Sinn Féin political party denied wholeheartedly. The night before the heist, groups of armed men invaded the homes of 2 Northern Bank officials, threatening their families and holding them at gunpoint. They instructed them on what they were to do the next day to facilitate the heist. The next day, with the help of the threatened bank officials, the robbers entered the bank's cash handling and storage facility, which held unusually large amounts of cash because the bank was preparing for distribution to ATMs for the Christmas shopping season. The thing had really been thought out well. Number 1. On the weekend of August 6th and 7th, 2005, a band of burglars tunneled into the Banco Central in Fortaleza, Brazil. They stole 5 containers of 50 Brazilian real notes, valued estimated at close to 70 million US dollars. The money was uninsured because the risk was too small to justify the insurance premiums, said a bank spokeswoman. Wow, I guess they regretted that one, right? Well, the burglars evaded or disabled the bank's internal alarms and sensors, so the burglary wasn't discovered until the bank opened for business on Monday. The Banco Central is the national banking institution of Brazil that is charged with controlling the money supply. The money in the vault was being evaluated to see if it would be recirculated or destroyed. Therefore, the bills were not numbered sequentially, which made them almost impossible to trace. The gang of burglars had rented an empty property in the center of the city and had tunneled 255 feet beneath 2 city blocks to get under the bank. On the final weekend, they broke through over 3.5 feet of steel-reinforced concrete to enter the bank vault. The banknotes weighed around 7,700 pounds, and no doubt took a great amount of time and effort to remove. On October 22nd, more than 2 months after the heist, the body of its suspected orchestrator, Luis Fernando Ribeiro, was found on an isolated road. He had been shot 7 times and had handcuff marks on his wrists. 5 men were arrested with the equivalent of about $5.4 million of the money and told police they had helped dig the tunnel. So far, authorities have recovered more than $7 million, but $63 million are still unaccounted for.